Greetings, DMs, GMs, and players. This is the Insomniac GM. Today, I want to go over two monsters that I think could improve your campaign. Both of these monsters are similar in the fact that they both deal with players in a merchant standpoint. However, they both are vastly different. So the first one I'm going to go over is the one that doesn't have as much detail on, but still is pretty detailed, and probably one of my favorite Pathfinder monsters. It's found in the Bestiary 2 of Pathfinder 2nd Edition on page 99. This monster is called the Drainberry bush. So the Drainberry bush is a plant that can propel itself up in the air, and it's a carnivorous plant. It ends up rooting itself into small animals such as like rabbits, possums, etc. And it feeds off of this blood and turns the blood into berries. Now, these berries, if you eat them, can end up, it can heal 2d8 plus 10 hit points. Well, the Drainberry bush actually can speak telepathically, and it will, if it finds players or NPCs or whatnot, it will actually try to communicate with them to trade for gold. What it normally speaks is just small little phrases. The book gives examples like money please, deal good, deal no good, want that, no refunds, thank you customer. It finds its berries are worth 25 gold pieces. And, but yeah, it even has mechanics for the players being able to try to like snatch some of these berries from this bush. But I think it's a good monster to send towards your players. I think other little facts about him: it's a large size creature. It can speak telepathically up to 100 feet. And it has life sense. So any creature that has life, like if you have an undead in the area, it doesn't notice them. You know, I think that would be even interesting. You put it in an undead area and it's just oblivious to undead around, and it's trying to negotiate with the players instead of, maybe it hampers the players a bit, just getting in the way, just like, you want to make a deal? But they can also fight. They can use their vines. They have a reach of 20 feet. They do 2d8 plus 10 bludgeoning, and also has a chance to grapple when it hits. But other than that, like I said, there's not as much information on these monsters, but I think they're pretty interesting. Now, the other monster is an Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition. First off, want to shout out a thank you to my best friend. I'm not going to throw out his name in here. If he sees this, he knows who he is. He bought me this, and I want to thank him for it. So, on page 8, there's a monster called the Arcane. So, the Arcane is these tall blue giants. They're a size large. They have an extra joint on each of their fingers, and they kind of look like handsome Squidward in this picture, actually. But so with these, they are traveling merchants that carry around magic items. They can fight, but they prefer not to fight. a lot of times, if they know they're going into dangerous area, they will hire adventurers to escort them. If they're confronted with danger, they can cast invisibility and dimension door 3 times a day. And if they need to, they will negotiate selling their negotiate the magic items for their safety. If that doesn't work, they will resort to fighting, which they will use the magic items they have on themselves. Now, usually when you run across one of these guys, you run across 1d6 of them. So it can be anywhere from 1 to 6 of them. They're pretty intelligent creatures. And so if I were to use them, I'd have them play a little bit more strategically on how they'd escape in that. Now, another thing with these guys is if one of them dies, the rest of them know. They know, hey, we need to avoid that area, or hey, that area is dangerous. We may want to hire some adventurers. With that being said, they are not vengeful creatures. So if you kill one, okay, that's fine. You do you. We're gonna leave you alone. They're all about just selling and traveling to sell their wares. They're pretty common to find in a city. It explains that any town you go into, you have a 10% chance of the players finding one just by accident. And they don't normally wear heavy armor, but sometimes you can find them wearing chain links. But most of the time they're just wearing like cloth and that. But you could even add like a few little defensive spells to them in like Pathfinder or 5th edition. But I think the Arcane and I think the Bloodberry Bush would make great additions to random encounters and to just story hooks. You could have it where the Arcane, for instance, hires the adventurers because they hear of a magic item that they could turn around and sell for a good amount of money. And they could talk to the players and be like, hey, you get this item and in return we'll give you 20% of whatever we sell it for. Now the players can go and get it. And if the players go to get it, like the players could probably also manipulate the price, go around town and start spreading tales of how much it's worth, which at that point it would be harder to sell, but there's a little bit more that you can go in with that. You could also have it where like one of the Arcane dies and the others are like, hey, listen, there's a bunch of magic items that were on this Arcane and he died in this area. Can you go find it? Go scout the area. We don't have the exact location, but we can give you the general area, like they were last seen in the forest that's going to kill you. That's the name of the forest. Just there's a lot of potential, I think, with them. Like, just for random encounters or even shops, You could even have the Bloodberry bushes or Drainberry bushes inside of the town with their own little stand. And maybe the Arcane and the Drainberry bush, like, are together. Like, the Arcane does the business side and just gives a portion of the profit to the Drainberry bush. I don't know why I want to keep calling it Bloodberry bush. But, yeah, I think there's a lot you could do with these two in your games, and it's a shame that I know the Drainberry bush is more of a recent monster in Pathfinder, so that I can understand, but I think it's a shame that we haven't seen the Arcane make an appearance again in 4th and 5th edition. I recall, I believe it is in 3rd edition, but like in another book that I don't own. But tell me in the comments, like, what do you think of these monsters? Is there another you would throw into this mix of these merchant monsters? And what adventure hooks would you use for these ones? Until next time.